Hi, I'm Jan, and this is my entry for Gabriel Gadfly's Poetry Matters project. He asked his fans and followers to make a video and talk about why poetry matters to them and what it means to them, so that's what I'm gonna do. The thing is, I'm a very big reader, I read a lot, but I actually don't actively search out poetry. It's more something I enjoy when it comes my way. I am a huge fan of, I don't actually know the correct English term for this, but like poetic novels like the Iliad or Yevgeny Onegin by Pushkin or the Poetic Edda, which are these awesome Icelandic poems from about the 14th century or something like that. They are so glorious. But that's because I'm very much all about the story, and it's much harder for poetry to move me than fiction, because often it lacks a little bit of story, and I'm very much a story person. But I did grow up with poetry a lot. My father is a small publisher of artist books. He does everything by hand. Our house was filled with all these old presses and like the lead letters, because I really don't have the English vocabulary for this. Because he sets it. He does all the lettering himself and like presses the books and then sews them together. And it all sounds very arty crafty, but it's actually very fancy. But I'll add a link to the website so you can have a look. But anyway, starting when I was 16, he asked me to spell check and make corrections, because when you do everything by hand, a lot of mistakes tend to happen. So that's when I really got to know poetry, because I had to correct it all the time. And so yeah, I really learned to appreciate it then on its own terms, and there was a lot that I didn't like or it didn't really work for me, because like I said, I'm not always a poetry person. But a few of them really moved me and touched me, and always will have a special place in my heart because of that. And one of those is actually not the last book, but the one before that my father did, was with Wisława Szymborska, a Polish poet who actually won the Nobel Prize, and she recently died. She was really awesome. And I read it in translation, but there was this one poem which I looked it up. The English title is "The Kindness of the Blind," and it's actually about a poet who is reading for an audience of blind persons, and he's totally stressing out because he feels like they are blind. They cannot understand my poetry, and I think she really touched upon something with that I find very important in poetry, which is the imagery and the fact that when poetry really works for me, it's when it actually engages all senses, not only that of language or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if language is a sense, but like, when it makes you imagine smells and sights and stuff like that. I really like poetry with very strong imagery. And that's when poetry does that, that's when it really gets to me and really moves me. And that's the kind of poetry I like best. I do like, the poetry who plays with language, but I also think it's often a bridge too far, and I like a strong message more than I like very nifty literary jokes. So yeah, Wisława Szymborska I really recommend her. I think she's my favorite poet of the moment. I'm sorry, Gabriel. So yeah, I grew up with poetry. Because of that, I also grew up with design and books and artists because of my father. So I think he really doesn't know what happened to me now that I'm all about the digital stuff. But that's what poetry means to me. And like I said, it doesn't always work for me. I'm still way more of a fiction reader than I'll ever be a poetry reader. But when it works, I really, really enjoy it. And I think that poetry definitely has a place in this world because it's a kind of communication that is really important to some people and is really very peculiar and like there's not really an oh fuck my English. There's not really, how do you say it? There's nothing else like it. It's not the word I'm looking for, but anyway. And without poetry, our world and our enjoyment of the world, and I think our communication possibilities would be so much scarcer. So it does matter, and I'm really glad that April is National Poetry Month, even though it's not actually in my country. But anyway, who needs national boundaries? So yeah, poetry matters, and I hope that the people who know me and don't know about this project will be tempted to make one of their own, because I'm actually really curious what poetry means to other people. Bye!